Greetings traveler, make yourself comfortable. Today we shall tell you about Nisse, a guardian spirit from tales of old. And Nisse, also known as Tomte in Sweden and Tomte Nisse or Tontu in Finland, is a mythological creature from Nordic folklore, today typically associated with the winter solstice and the Christmas season. It is generally described as being no taller than 90 centimeters, having a long white beard and wearing a conical or knit cap in red or some other bright color. He was sometimes seen as a farmer who cleared the forest to build the farm and who in pre-Christian times would have been buried on the farm in a mound. He was sometimes referenced to as the Haukal or Haugebonde, from Old Norse Haugr meaning mound. It was thought that the Nisse was a more generalized spirit of previous generations at the homestead, and there are references to them following the family or clan when they were moving. According to tradition, the Nisse lives in the houses and barns of the farmstead and secretly act as their guardian. If treated well, they protect the family and animals from evil and misfortune, and may also aid the cause and farm work. However, they are known to be short-tempered, especially when offended, or once insulted, they will usually play tricks, steal items, and even maim or kill livestock. The Nisse was often imagined as a small, elderly man. Size varies from a few inches to about half the height of an adult man, often with a full beard. However, there are also folk tales where he is believed to be a shapeshifter, able to take a shape far larger than an adult man, and other tales where the Nisse is believed to have a single cyclopean eye. Norwegian folklore states that he has 4 fingers, and sometimes with pointed ears, and eyes reflecting light in the dark, like those of a cat. But since Nisse are thought to be skilled in illusions, and sometimes able to make themselves invisible, one was unlikely to get more than a brief glimpse of him no matter what he looked like. Despite his small size, the Nisse possessed an immense strength. He was easily offended by careless lack of proper respect and lazy farmers. He is protector of farm and caretaker of livestock, and as such, his retribution for bad practices ranged from small pranks, like a hard strike to the ear, to more severe punishment, like killing off the livestock and ruining the farm's fortune. Honoring traditions was thought important to the Nisse, as he did not like changes in the way things were done at the farm. He was also easily offended by rudeness, farm workers swearing or not treating the creatures well. They would do so under the threat of sound thrashing by the Tomte. One was also required to please the spirit with gifts. A particular gift was a bowl of porridge on Christmas night. If Tomte was not given his payment, he would leave the farm or house, or engage in mischief such as tying the cow's tail together in the barn, turning objects upside down, and breaking things. This behavior Nisse acquired from his troll friends. The Nisse liked his porridge with a pot of butter on the top. In an often retold story, a farmer put the butter underneath the porridge. When the Nisse of his farmstead found that the butter was missing, he was filled with rage and killed the cow resting in the barn. But as thus he became hungry, he went back to his porridge and ate it, and so found the butter at the bottom of the bowl. Full of grief, he then hurried to search the land to find another farmer with the identical cow and replace the former with the latter. The Nisse is connected to farm animals in general, but his most treasured animal was the horse. Belief had it that one could see which horse was the Tomte's favorite, as it would be especially healthy and well taken care of. Sometimes the Tomte would even braid its hair and tail. The Nisse was not always a popular figure, particularly during and after the Christianization of Scandinavia. Like most creatures of folklore, he would be seen as heathen and be demonized and connected to the devil. Farmers believing in the house Tomte would be seen as worshipping false gods or demons. Folklore added other negative beliefs about the Tomte, such as that having a Tomte on the farm meant you put the fate of your soul at risk, was that you had to perform various non-Christian dark rites to lure Tomte to your farm. The belief in Nisse's tendency to bring riches to the farm by his unseen work could also be dragged into the conflict between neighbors. If one farmer was doing far better for himself than the others, someone might say that it was because of him having a Nisse on the farm, doing ungodly work and stealing from the neighbors. These rumors could be very damaging for the farmer who found himself accused, much like accusations of witchcraft during the Inquisitions. But in modern time, Nisse is now associated with Christmas, where he is accompanied by another mythological creature, the Julbocken. The pair appear on Christmas Eve, knocking on the doors of people's homes, handing out presents. This new tradition was established in the 1840s, when the farm's Nisse became a bearer of Christmas presents in Denmark and was then called Julenisse. In 1881, the Swedish magazine published poem Tomten, where the Tomte is alone awake in the cold Christmas night, pondering the mysteries of life and death. This poem features the first painting of this traditional Swedish mystical character, which was turned into the white-bearded, red-capped, friendly figure associated with Christmas ever since. Shortly afterwards, and obviously influenced by the emerging Father Christmas traditions, as well as a new Danish tradition, a variant of the Nisse called the Jultomte in Sweden and Julenisse in Norway started bringing the Christmas presents in Sweden and Norway, instead of the traditional Julbok. Gradually, commercialism has made him look more and more like the American Santa Claus. But the Swedish Jultomte, the Norwegian and Danish Julenisse, and Finnish Joulupukki, in Finland he is still called the Julegoat, although his animal features have disappeared, still has features and traditions that are rooted in the local culture. He doesn't live on the North Pole, but perhaps in a forest nearby. When in Denmark he lives on Greenland, and in Finland he lives in Lapland. He doesn't come down the chimney at night, but through the front door, delivering the presents directly to the children, just like the Yule goat did. He is not overweight, and even if he nowadays sometimes rides in a sleigh drawn by reindeer, instead of just walking around with sack, his reindeer don't fly. And in Sweden, Denmark and Norway, some still put out a bowl of porridge for him on Christmas Eve. He is still often pictured on Christmas cards and house and garden decorations as a little elderly man, often with a horse or cat, or riding on a goat or in a sled pulled by a goat. And for many people the idea of the farm Tomte still lives on, if only in the imagination and literature. And that will be all for today about Nisse, Tomte and Julenisse. I hope you like this story. Let me know what you think about these creatures and what is the most interesting for you about them. Come here again, we have a lot of stories to tell.